All right, so Steve, here's yours. What would you do to solve the city transportation problem, both short-term and long-term? What do you see as possible solution to that?
I see the transportation problem. I look at the city buses as they're going by and I see nobody on them. I don't see anybody riding them. I think the city should go down to smaller buses if they could. I think we should try to save money in that way, because every time I see a city bus, there's nobody on them. If there's other transportation, I mean, I'm sorry, but every time I see the bus, there's nobody on them. And if there's any other way, if the train came around, I would love to have the train through, but the train didn't get past, so I have no control over that one. So.
All right, thank you. Over to you, Ray, 1 minute.
Well, seeing I'm a former bus driver for 20 years, I can tell you that the bus is full once in a while. And what's causing an increase for us, and it's a good one, we have that 5-use pass where you can give, it actually costs you $1.50, and otherwise it's only $2. Unified is continually cutting their yellow buses and putting the children on ours because they could save money. And so the potential for us to even add buses, and we do that when we have trippers, we call them trippers, so we can handle all the kids that are riding. During the day, you're not going to see a whole lot of people because you either drop it off at out at the mall or downtown here or uptown, even West Racine. But I think what I've seen in the 20 years I was doing it, when we at one time had half-hour service here. Right now, we only have 1 hour service, and any elderly in our population getting up there, they can't stand for an hour if they miss the bus. Wait a minute, I get another 3 minutes though. Anyway, but beyond that, no, I'm just teasing. But the point is that we had half-hour service, and when Mayor Becker came in, he did away with it. And he said, you know, that was the biggest mistake he ever made. Because along with that goes the funding that comes from the state and the feds. And consequently, who suffered? The people that ride that system. To use smaller buses like was suggested by Mr. Smetana, not practical for us. Because by the time you use them all day, then you have to, just the cumbersome of switching those buses to the big ones that carry the school kids. And that's why we see the big ones. And I got to thank Modines for working with our system and changing the cooling system so we gained about 2 miles to the gallon. That doesn't sound much, but when you're using thousands of gallons of fuel, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Eddie, over to you. 1 minute.
I think Racine really needs a streetcar. Okay.
Is this Milwaukee?
All right. If this was,
right,
can you top this? I had just gotten the meter. But I agree with Steve. I disagree with Ray. I think we need to talk about smaller buses that are more flexible. If you're much more flexible. Now you could run 2 smaller buses if there's an overflow. You can keep a stable of larger buses around. There are other transportation modalities coming online, Uber and Lyft and some of these other things. I'm not saying that we can dispense with what we're doing and only use those, but it becomes another thing that it should enter the discussion, and we need to talk about that because maybe we can partner with some of those people. I've seen conversion vans that are handicap accessible that'll seat 8 people. We can get a few of those. Let's plan a strategy, but we can't keep thinking the way we used to. When the taxpayers see a bus at night that has 1 person on it, they hit the roof, and I don't blame them. We need to work through scheduling. We need to be creative, and smaller buses are going to have to be part of that equation. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, we'll finish up with you on this one. All right, thank you.
Well, first of all, I think I need to correct 1 or 2 things here. You talk about the smaller buses. The smaller buses actually cost more to operate. The city received a grant to buy the most recent 12 to 14 buses, and they received that grant because they were specially designed to be some of the most fuel-efficient buses in the nation. They cost less to run on a daily basis than the smaller buses. And because they received the grant for those buses, they did not have any capital cost on those buses. So the buses are really costing them nothing to get, and then they're actually cost less to run. So they chose the larger buses so that they would have the capacity for when they needed it. If it costs the same or less, why not have the larger capacity? So that's hopefully puts the small bus question to rest. My answer to how to deal with the transportation problem is on a regional level. That planning and surveying is going on right now through Sewer Pack. I contribute to that, and I help with that on a periodic basis. So we have to think regionally. That will be where the answers come. As far as the train goes, train's thumbs up.
Okay, thank you.
And we could have had the train and it paid for too, by the way.
Okay.